Thank you, Art. Appreciate that. So as Art said, my name is Rhonda. I'm in the Duluth location, and the other presenter today will be Sheila from the International Falls Career Force location. So we're really excited to be here, so thank you for coming and joining us today for this session on career planning and getting started. Let me get the right screen going here. First, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the other services that are provided through local career force locations near you. The Veterans Employment Services would be for folks that meet that criteria. A lot of folks are using the Dislocated Worker Program right now, out of work, lost their job for no fault of their own, getting maybe some extra training or certifications or licensures. Set up, getting you ready for that next opportunity. And then vocational rehabilitation services for folks with a diagnosed disability that might be a barrier to employment for them. You can find the information on your local career force right on the website there, careerforcemn.com/locations, and find the location near you. The other new thing that we are offering to all residents of the state of Minnesota is a program called Coursera. And this is brand new for all of us, and there will be on Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, from 3 until 4, an online informational session so that we can all learn about what Coursera is all about and all the great opportunities that it has to offer. Classes, there are over 3,800 free career-focused online courses, a lot of self-help courses, and it looks like there's already 4,000 Minnesotans registered for that. So you want to be sure to sign up for that. You can sign up for that and all the workshops that we offer the same way that you signed up for this workshop today. So be sure to keep that in mind. And I believe Art will send out a link this afternoon with that information on it as well, this afternoon or tomorrow. So for our purposes today, I will have a list of attendees for keeping track of who has attended the workshops for us. But if you're on unemployment and need to keep track of your reemployment activities, be sure to go into your unemployment account and check the box that says you've attended Creative Job Search. Now, you're only attending 1 out of 6 sessions today, so we hope you come back and attend the other 5 over the next 5 weeks. We really encourage you to get the entire series of workshops under your belt. Some of the other workshops coming up online, the interview prep workshop will be tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Resume writing is Thursday at 1 o'clock, and then again that Coursera workshop is on Thursday as well. All that great information is out on careerforcemn.com. So here's the lineup for the other sessions coming up. So of course today we're on career planning. Next week we'll be identifying your skills, filling out applications, and talking about work portfolios. The following week will be tools of the job hunting trade, working on resumes and those sorts of things, internet and social media, talking about LinkedIn an awful lot and how that can be of value to you. And finally the job interview, and wrapping up with facing unemployment at 50. So go on to careerforcemn.com under the Virtual Interactive Services tab and watch for to register for those workshops, as well as watching some of the previously recorded workshops. There was a series of 6 workshops before we got into this Creative Job Search series by Catherine Byers-Breet. Did a series of 6 sessions. I didn't get to listen to all of them, but they might be good topics for you to listen to as well. I believe the first one was on video interviewing sort of thing. So, which is probably in this day and age going to be a pretty popular way to do some interviewing, initial interviewing anyway. So go up to careerforcemn.com and check all those workshops out. So normally we do this in a conference room, and we can go around the room and do introductions and find out who's in the room and what are you looking for and what's your story, that kind of a thing. But it's kind of hard to do that in this virtual world, if you will. So if you would like us to know what you're looking for, where you are, Maybe someone else on the webinar will have some good ideas for you, and you can start networking already today. Last time we did this, and even this morning when we did this, there's lots of going back and forth with ideas and suggestions for folks. So if you'd like to do that, go ahead and do that. In the meantime, I will tell you my quick little story, and then we'll hear from Sheila. So how I got connected to the Career Force location is that in 2009, in the middle of an economic downturn, I was working for a mega travel agency, and in the middle of this economic downturn, in the travel industry, mind you, I quit that job and started at another travel agency. That job ended in 30 days. So I was suddenly a dislocated worker. And I knew someone who worked at this place called the Workforce Center. I had no idea what they did, but I walked across the right threshold at the right time and told my story. Hey, I'm looking for work. I don't want to be on this unemployment thing for too long. And they, at the time, needed a dislocated worker counselor. And so I was hired on. And so instead of planning people's trips and vacations, I was helping them plan their careers and moving forward. So if you, I understand where you are if you're a dislocated worker, just because I have been there myself. And so maybe I will have Sheila introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her own story. Sheila?
Welcome, everyone. This is Sheila up in International Falls. I started with Career Force about 30 years ago, and that happened pretty much through networking. I was working a temporary job filling in for somebody who was on maternity leave, and I made the right connections along the way, and this job came up, and they told me about it, and here we are today, Rhonda and I. So welcome. I look forward to assisting you today, and feel free to type your questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Sheila. So as you can see, there's lots of years of experience here working with folks in your situation. So don't be afraid to ask anything. We've heard everything, I think, up to this point. So coronavirus is the only clinker that we hadn't dealt with up until today. So anyway. So talk about getting creative job search. Now during COVID-19, all the Career Force locations are still closed. So you're probably wondering just what can we do for you? Well, we can do things like this. We can offer workshops, we can offer job club and hiring events and things like that to help give you the tools to be successful. To land that next great opportunity that's down the road, or to help you get some training so that you can get into a new occupation. We really need to be creative, and I say that because employers have an awful lot on their minds right now. They have to remember hand sanitizer and face mask, and do I wear my face mask if I'm in my cube or just in common spaces, and how do I keep everyone safe, and what if this happens? What if that happens? So they're really busy. And so we need to make this as easy as we can for them to see that you're the right candidate. Certainly understand that job loss is difficult, and truly it impacts every part of our lives. But a positive attitude and your outlook is absolutely critical to your success. And it's a choice that we make every day. This is one thing that you have control over. But it's important to set a game plan for your next career move or your next career, your next job. Whether it's in a new occupation or it's the same occupation, same career, same industry, there's going to be changes coming down the pike, and we really need to learn how to get ready for that. We also are going to talk about knowing how to research different career options in case you do need to make a change. So, a job, no more. So the managing the stress of job loss, I mean, it affects everything about you, emotionally, psychologically, obviously financially, even physically. If you were in a real active position before and now you're sitting behind a computer applying for jobs and networking and those sorts of things, you're not as active, you may not feel as good. You need to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. And part of that is going to be creating a schedule for yourself so that you can get out and move around a bit when you need to. You want you to keep good records of everything you do, everyone you meet, every contact you meet. And obviously, you know, now would be a great time to start a financial budget sheet if you haven't already, so that you don't also add to your financial burden, if you will, if it takes a couple months to get that next opportunity. But it does. It truly impacts every aspect of your life, your self-esteem, your identity, because some of us think that our job is who we are. It affects your finances, obviously, your social life, but it's the people that you worked with or the people you hung out with on the weekends. It affects your family life because now you're home and the kids are home and the husband is home and you're all in the house together and no one can get out. So it adds a little bit of stress every way you look at it. And they say that this is one of the most stressful events in your life, and it's right up there with divorce or separation or loss of a loved one even. So it's a big deal. But do remember that your career is not the total representation of who you are. You are so much more than that. You're a wife, you're a sister, you're a mother, you're a grandma, you're all these different things. And don't ever forget that. Transition from being employed to being unemployed is really hard, especially when you can't leave the house a whole heck of a lot. And change is hard. None of us really like it, but change can also be a really great opportunity. So go into this with a bit of an open mind and see what's out there for you. Trust me, everyone has an opinion about how your job search should look. And it can be hard for others to understand why, you know, what the job search world is like today. If they're working and everything's clicking along just fine, they may say, well, when I searched for a job 5 years ago, I had a new one within a week. Or why is it taking so long? Well, there's a lot of people out there on unemployment looking for jobs. There's COVID-19 out there. So we've had a couple of things going against you. So we want to make this as easy and as give you all the tools that we can to give you the support that you need to go on and get that next job. Some of the mistakes that folks can make when doing their job search is listening to other people. And when people say things like, oh, don't ever write cover letters, employers never read them. That might be a mistake because some employers love them, but you don't always know who. Or someone maybe will tell you that thank you notes are a waste of time, if you will. And again, some employers, if you are tied for first place for that job opportunity and they get a thank you, handwritten thank you note from you, although maybe we wouldn't do handwritten right now, maybe an email, a nice email thank you note from you, that might be what they look at and they say, wow, you know, that was really pretty cool. They really want this job if you take the time to tell them how much you want the job. Or maybe a person has a strong opinion that LinkedIn doesn't work, yet that's where a big part of your network is. Don't take everything as seriously as maybe they put it. Do what works for you, what you're comfortable with, and what you think will work to your advantage the best. So now, this just might be a really good time to take inventory of maybe the things that have changed since you lost your job. You're home now, you're on the computer more, you've got more time, you've got time with the kids. Some of those things are really good and really great that you've got the time to do that. And then take inventory of how are you feeling about it. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you angry, excited, scared, lonely, some of those things. Thinking about what was lost. Obviously, we lost your job. Financially, there's some losses. Seniority, I think earlier today, now I haven't seen much today about how long some of you folks have been in your jobs. I mean, 20-some years, that's a lot of seniority kind of, you know, lost. And that stability of that job after 27 years, because you might have wanted to retire from that job and get that gold pen after 30 years of working there. Also think about the opportunities that this may have created. Again, like I say, maybe getting some classes, taking some classes, getting that certification you wanted to get for so long, maybe making that career change. It might be a clean slate for you to make some changes. But in the meantime, there may be a little bit of this emotional roller coaster because you're going to have some ups and downs. And don't worry that this is all absolutely normal, because you're going to get a really great job lead and submit an application and things are going great and you heard you've got a second interview coming up and that's really great and you're going up and up and up and things are good, and then you get the reject letter. Maybe I shouldn't call it the reject letter. So we've decided to hire someone else letter. Well, that we're sorry we hired someone else letter is one more no before you get that final yes, we want to hire you. So go through this emotional roller coaster. If you want to, type into the chat box maybe where you are on the emotional roller coaster. Real possibilities, taking action, taking inventory, sadness, loneliness, all those things. So take just a second to type in there how you're feeling on the roller coaster. But you are going to have your ups and downs. And again, like I said just a moment ago, your attitude, shock, yeah. Your attitude is one thing that's going to get you through this. And if you just take charge of your attitude and you control it, it's going to give you some strength. Overwhelmed, discouraged, depressed, yeah. It's a really crazy time right now. It's a really, really, really crazy time. But hang in there. There's opportunities. We get calls from people who say, thank you for that workshop last week. It was great. I start my new job next week. So people are getting jobs. They're getting into new opportunities all the time. So just hang in there. But even though you're on that roller coaster, you need to recognize your feelings because this is a shock to your entire self from head to toe. So recognizing those feelings, giving yourself credit for the feelings, allowing yourself to have the feelings. And of course, some things change. Of course, some things are going to change, but some things stay the same, thank goodness. So be happy about that. Oh, there are common feelings. We're seeing them coming through. Anger, shock, leads don't pan out, depressed, up and down, all those sorts of things. So it's important to realize that these are all normal feelings. And to find a safe outlet, someone you can talk to, maybe former coworkers that also got laid off. Hang out with the ones that are not really mad still. Or hang out with positive people that are all looking for a new opportunity. And it'll help you find a way to deal with your feelings in a positive way. Having coffee, going for a walk, journaling, things like that to get it off of your chest if you're upset. But ultimately, you have to forgive. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive your former boss. They didn't want to have to let you go, but business is not there anymore like it was, 6 months ago. You have to forgive coronavirus. None of us asked for this, but we can get through it. I know that we can get through it. So if you're struggling to forgive, you have to find a way, find some way. Maybe write a letter to your former boss. Maybe write a letter to coronavirus. Curse you, coronavirus. Tell them exactly how you feel, how doggone angry you are that this happened to you, and just let it all out, get it all off your chest. Of course, you'd never send it. You would never do that. You would burn it, you'd chew it up and spit it out, you'd drive over it with your car, whatever it is. But it's just one more thing to help you get it off your chest, because employers need to know that you're willing to accept the change, that you're willing to move on, that you have left all that anger and unhappiness behind. So let go of that past job, and just so that you can show employers that you're ready to move forward. And again, recognize that you have a choice to make, positive or negative. And it's our emotional reaction and our attitude that we use when deciding whether to accept, adapt, or resist the change. But it's up to you. It's emotional. This is a very emotional time. So give yourself the time to work through it. And again, it's a choice that you can make every day. Feel stronger, you want to feel energized, you want to feel positive. And it's up to you. So maintain some structure and some routines. That's going to help you kind of keep your days going. You know, and regroup every now and again and say, you know what, there's some of these days I'm just feeling really pretty negative, really feeling pretty demoralized. Maybe just take a day to regroup and think about what's going on and what you can do to adjust your attitude, because attitude is a skill that employers are looking for. So you have to ask yourself, would I hire me today? Am I the best version of myself out there, right? Do I still have that grudge on my shoulder, that chip on my shoulder? You want to make sure that you're clear of all of that. Employers are going to try and find this out if you're ready to move on by asking you questions in the interview or that on. Give me an example of how you deal with changes at work that you don't like. Or why did you leave your last job? Tell me about a supervisor you didn't like. Things like that to find out. Because if you start spilling your guts and talking negative, that's not going to show up very good on your evaluation form. You have one chance and one chance only to make a good first impression. And a negative attitude can certainly lead, as you well know, to a missed opportunity. And we just can't afford to miss any good opportunities right now. One thing you can have control over is your attitude. So maybe if you've got your crabby pants on someday, or maybe a couple days a week, you might really want to think about it before you go into some networking event and do a little evaluation of yourself and see if you can make a quick correction before you go out to that next event. So some of the things that you can do to try and stay positive, of course, talking to others, like I say, who are positive, not the negative folks that are grumbling about things. So you want to talk about things in a positive way, keeping in mind that negativity attracts negativity. So if you go into a group and they're all, you know, acting and talking very negatively, it could really bring you down when you don't want that. You want to stay positive. So then, of course, it goes without saying that positivity attracts positivity. So draw yourself to that positivity side of the job program. You can go to support groups or find job clubs. There may be local job clubs, and it would be virtual now, but check the workshop listing in your area for local events, if you will. Another thing to stay positive is exercising. They say that's good for you. Some people actually need some professional resources because it's really a hard thing to work through sometimes. So if you need those resources, please check that out. Now, when we used to be able to customize this workshop a little bit, I would put in a picture of Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live when he's looking in the mirror and he's saying, "You're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you." Because positive self-talk or those positive affirmations are so important. It's really easy to start talking negative. Those little thought bubbles in your head can turn negative very easily when you get that reject letter or that, you know, we hired someone else letter. It's like, you know, oh, I'm never going to get another job, things like that. So tell yourself things like, you know, this whole thing is not your fault. You're going to find an even better job, an even better career on the other side of this. I just got to get through this. I'm capable of meeting this challenge. I'm a good person, and good things are going to happen to me, okay? But you have to do your work, too, to help make it happen to you. So you need to do some of this work, obviously. So enter into the chat box, if you will. Oh, and volunteering. I'm sorry I missed that one. Volunteering is a great way to stay positive, and you never know who you're going to be packing lunch boxes next to. Maybe it's the human resources person for the local medical facility or something like that, or the company you really want to get into, or just another contact, another person for you to talk to. So volunteering is great. Obviously, if you're on unemployment, you can't volunteer 40 hours a week because you're not actively looking for work maybe. So keep that in check. But it's a great opportunity to get out there and talk to a few more people 6 feet away, so you may have to yell a little bit. So put in the chat box some of the things that maybe you think are helpful to you. I see praying. It doesn't always work, but we can keep asking. Breathing, Coursera classes, those are going to help. I think that's going to be great. I think that's going to be great. Maintaining some structure, talking to a friend who also lost her job very suddenly. Yeah, if you guys can keep each other up and positive, that'll be good for everyone. Journaling, scheduling, humor. Always look for humor when you can find it. Meditating, exercising, biking, walking, positive podcast. I still, to this day, and have never listened to a podcast, so I should maybe check that out sometime. So put in the chat box if there's a good podcast for me to listen to. I'd love to give one a try. So anyway, moving on. Just do what you can to stay positive and get going and get working on your game plan and moving forward. So a really good thing to maybe do right now before you start setting your next job goal, because you have a clean slate, right? There may be new opportunities out there for you that you want to try and discover what might be a good fit for you. You might want to do some soul searching, some self-examination, if you will, and an awful lot of research. So this list of websites on the screen, and again, this will be in your PowerPoint that you get, or your email that you get, is taking a skills assessment. Now, these can be through, if you're working with a dislocated worker counselor, they may send you something specific, something other than one of these, but these ones are all free out on there, just a link on the internet. But to go out and help you maybe find out some things about you, some other occupations that you hadn't thought of before that might be really good for you. Maybe some hidden skills that come out of this series of questions that they ask you about. Do you like to do this? Or you can do this, you can't do that. And it comes up with a list of things that based on your skills you might want to do or maybe don't want to do. And then again, so there's skills and there's interests. So you're interested in something and you've got the skills to do it. I think that would be a really great opportunity. But this maybe just will give you some other ideas of things to look into. Whenever I do this, it says that I should be a farmer. And I think that that's probably because when I was a kid, I would spend summers on my grandpa's farm, and I loved it. I loved it so much. So every time the taxes go up in Duluth, Minnesota, and my husband says we're selling the house, I keep hoping we get a little hobby farm. So that's kind of my plan. But anyway, so it really does dig into your soul of what you do and don't like to do and what you're interested in doing. But doing your homework and finding out what are the jobs that are in growth mode. You want to get into a growing profession. If you're making a big career change, find out what are your skill gaps. Well, how many credits do I need to take, or how many courses on Coursera do I need to take in order to get this certification so that I can go search for this job, look for this job, a next opportunity. Dislocated Worker Program can maybe help with the cost of some of these for you, but you have to be sure that you've got the time to do it. If you want to take a 2-year-long course and your unemployment ends in 13 weeks, are you going to be able to make it for the rest of the time without income? Maybe you need a part-time job. How will you manage it? Think about all of this stuff. And then just filling in those skill gaps. You know, maybe you need to renew a certification in order to get, your OSHA certification up to date, or dental assisting certification to be licensed up to date, things like that, just to make you more marketable. So all these sites are a little bit different. Again, I recommend that reaching out to Dislocated Worker Services if you're thinking about training of any sort, Coursera, of course. But, make the move or not. It might be a big deal to make a career change. You may not want to do that, and trust me, it's not for everyone. So just really do some good soul searching and some research. on these things. So some of these assessments are right on careerforcemn.com on the Online Tools tab on the main screen. There are, let's see, sorry, I have to look over here to see this. Taking an interest assessment, take a skills assessment, see a list of jobs in demand now during COVID-19. Sign up for Coursera, set career goals and explore occupations, even write your resume right on the site. So you're going to want to get an account set up so that you can save this information. I'm not sure it saves your resume, but it will save your assessment results so that you can go back and look at that and build some career goals around your assessments, which is really pretty cool. So you want to be sure and do that. And you're just going to help, it's going to help you find some of the best matches for you out there. The next website is My Skills, My Future. This would be where you put in your current or a past job title, and you want to find other occupations that use the same basic skill set. So it's really pretty cool, but it's going to come up with a list of things that you go then want to go take and research on your own and see if it's something that you want to go to. But it gives you a good list, a good starting point anyway. JobSTAT is a state of Minnesota website, and it's the Job Skills Transfer Assessment Tool for exploring occupations in different areas of expertise. So on this screen, I have expanded the business and financial operations occupations. So you could delve deeper into accountants, appraisers, assessors, auditors, things like that, and really get a good sense of what the expectations are for that career and what the skills are that you need, and you might find the average income, things like that. So that is put out by the state of Minnesota with all Minnesota information in it. So preparing for the job hunt. So now you've got to figure it out. You've done the soul searching. You know what you're going to look for. We're going to talk about a few things to help you getting prepared, getting organized, keeping records, SMART goals, things like that. So managing your schedule. So there's some people that are already the best, the bomb, as the kids might say, at keeping a schedule. And they know exactly when they're going to be where and what time and when they're going to be back, and they can do that. I can't do that. I still kind of wing it sometimes. But you're really going to want to keep a good schedule and keep your papers and things kind of all in one spot. So that if you get a call from an employer that you applied for a job 2 weeks ago or a month ago, they want to now talk to you at 4 o'clock this afternoon for an interview, you want to be able to go get that job posting for the job you applied for, the resume you sent them, the cover letter that you sent them, so that you can refresh yourself. So managing your schedule, keeping good records, it's all just going to help you balance your day, because you still have to be that mother, grandmother, sister, wife, all those things too. So you have to learn how to balance all this stuff. Scheduling time for researching. Maybe every Monday morning you go and you research 10 different companies. Maybe every Tuesday afternoon you do networking. Maybe you network on the golf course. I don't know. Going to workshops. Make sure that you get all of our workshops on your calendar so that you make sure that they're locked in the time frames, and the job clubs, of course. Sheila's going to talk about SMART goals in just a moment, because you want to set up goals for yourself to balance your activities. And it's something to hold yourself accountable as you go through this. And if you need help staying on track, obviously if you have a counselor that you're working with, you can report into them every week and tell them what you've done. Or maybe a friend or a family member, just someone that you can hold, that will hold you accountable for your activities and keeps you on track. Keeps your eye on the ball, if you will. Because it's really easy to get sidetracked, especially when you're using the internet. You might be doing some research on a company and, oh, look at that, there's a sale on shoes over at DSW. Cool, I'm going to go shoe shopping now. And you've just totally derailed your research hour. So be sure that you can stay on track. schedule time for fun activities with friends and family. So without good records, things, like I say, can quickly get out of hand because you're going to make a lot of contacts during this time. You're going to apply for a lot of jobs, and you want to make sure that all that stuff is handy when you need it. You want to print up copies of the job postings that you apply for. Again, like I say, it could take a few weeks or a month before someone calls you back for an interview because now they're able to open up at 100% or whatever it is. You want to be sure that you refresh yourself on the job before you hop into that interview. Keeping copies of the resumes you sent them because every resume is going to be different for every job you apply for. So keeping that handy as well. Even if a contact doesn't work out for this particular job you're thinking of, maybe they know somebody at a different company and they're going to refer your name to them. So you want to keep track of all these things so that you'll be able to reach out to them and thank them for their help when you do land that next opportunity. Okay, so gathering up your supplies and getting it all in one space so that you know where everything is. Now, whether that's on your computer, on a laptop, I don't know how people can do all of this on their phones, but apparently some can. It's too small for me to use. But a computer and a spreadsheet might be a nice way to do it. A notebook, a 3-ring binder, or even recipe cards, if you will, in a little card file kind of box. But just having all of those things all in one place. Keeping an updated list of your usernames and passwords because every single company you're going to apply for is going to want a username and password. So be sure that you have those handy so you don't get locked out. It's just a bugger to try and get back into some of those sometimes. And keep a phone charger handy. You would not want your phone to die out on you in the middle of an interview or in the middle of a call with one of your contacts. This also might be, Microsoft OneNote is a great way to stay organized if you haven't. Thank you. Thank you for that. Might be a good time to also set up a professional email account for your job search, for job search only, because you might be getting recipes from Aunt Martha and jokes from Uncle Bob or whatever that will derail you and distract you from your goal of doing job searching activities, and make it real professional. So maybe I might finally have to get rid of prettygrandma@yahoo.com and go with something a little more professional. But it's up to you, but it's a good way to kind of keep yourself on track. And it looks better to have a nice professional email address when you're sending it out to employers. So get organized. So now I'm going to have Sheila hop on and talk about those SMART goals that we mentioned. So, Sheila?
I'm back.
All right, Sheila, you were muted just for a moment there, and you should be good now.
Okay, thank you. So as Rhonda was mentioning, it's important to stay organized during your job search. And one of the things you can do to help you with that is to set SMART goals. So what is a SMART goal? Well, the first thing is a SMART goal is specific. You want to write down, keep track of exactly what you want to do during your job search. But you want to make sure it's a goal that's realistic and attainable. So you don't want to choose a goal that you're going to get discouraged on and give up. So in this example, what we have for a goal is to prepare a resume. So when you set your goal, you want to make sure you keep yourself on track and have ideas of how you're going to measure that you're on track. So you might want to set some deadlines for yourself. Keep a little notebook. Maybe you want to tell a friend or a family member what your goal is so they can reach out to you once in a while and ask you how you're doing on that goal. So maybe in this case, you could measure where you're at by presenting a rough draft to your resume to a career counselor. Set up an appointment with a career counselor, say in 10 days, and show them what you've done so far, and then get their feedback. And what are you going to do to achieve that goal? What resources are available to you? And CareerForce is a good place to start. We have the online resume workshop. There's also the option to have your resume reviewed by a CareerForce representative, which you can schedule on careerforcemn.com as well. And those skills assessments that Rhonda was talking about, that's a great place to get skills to list on your resume and show the employer how you can use those skills. And of course, your job history and your job descriptions, those are really great tools to use in working on your resume. That's one thing I always ask people for if I'm helping them is if they have their old job description. It's a great way to tell the next employer what you can do. And another thing I've found really helpful is letters of recommendations and performance reviews, because oftentimes other people know what you do and can explain what you do better than you can because they see you in action. So those are just some great resources for this example in preparing your resume. And then you want to make sure that your goal is relevant. Why do you need to achieve this goal as part of your job search? So for example, with the resumes, you know, most applications today are online. We're not going in person and picking up paper applications. And usually there's a component on there where you need to upload your resume to the online application, or the employer might ask you to email it to them. So once you have a good resume prepared, it kind of eases the stress of job search a little bit because you can go in and modify that resume and target towards the job you're applying for. And then once you have, you know, the good base started for your resume, you can always develop resumes for different career goals. For example, I have a background in business administration and a background in teaching, so I have 2 separate resumes ready to go for those different occupations. And then timely. You want to make sure that you have a date when you're going to complete your goal so you can begin to continue in your job search. Use a specific date. So in this example, maybe you want to set your deadline for 2 or 3 days after you meet with your career counselor so you can incorporate that feedback into your resume and then get your resume complete. Then go back to that person you told that you were going to do this resume and have them review it. Then they'll know that you have completed your goal as well. So think about some different goals you can work on. You can work on more than one at a time. Just make sure you're able to manage them. Prioritize what you need to do now to get back to work. Work on those goals first. And when we send out the materials after the workshop today, you will get the SMART Goals video or the slide that's up here so you'll know what to follow when you're working on your SMART goals. And if you're having difficulty in setting your goals and finding resources to use for them, feel free to reach out to a career counselor at CareerForce. They'll be more than happy to help you with that. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. Okay, Rhonda, back to you.
Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate that. So get working on those SMART goals. It's a really good activity for you. So next we're going to talk about researching, and I think we say research and careerforcemn.com about 100 times during this presentation, and now we've added Coursera to our list of things. We want to just be sure that you keep on top of mind. So what should you research? You've done the research on yourself, maybe what you're looking for, what you want to do, and so now you're going to start looking at some positions. And when you've done the research that you need, it's going to help you better target your resume. It's going to help you better prepare for answering interview questions, to know what you're getting into, what the company is kind of all about. So study their products and services. It's a lot easier to go to work for a company that you believe in what they do, what their products are and what their services are. Decide in your heart of hearts if you want to work for a mega company or if you want to work for a small family-owned business. Maybe learn a little bit about the history of it, their location. And I know a lot of you are in the Twin Cities and you still live there. I know this. You spend a lot of time in your car. How far do you want to drive to work? How long do you want to be away from home to get to that job? Think about those sorts of things. Look at the company's financial situation and their potential for growth. You want to get into an organization that's in growth mode or in an industry that maybe that's in growth mode rather than on the decline. And you'll get some of that information out of some of those websites I showed you earlier, the labor market information and that. You want to maybe study up what is their mission statement, what's their philosophy. There's a medical facility in Duluth that their mission statement is the patient above all else. And if that really resonates with you in the medical field, be sure that you quote that in your cover letter or those sorts of things, because that's what you believe in, and that's the kind of healthcare provider you want to be part of their organization. Maybe looking at recent changes or some initiatives. Maybe working from home is now a possibility when it wasn't before. Or, you know, those human resource policies, maybe because of changes that need to be made, maybe they're having people work 4 10-hour days, so you get a day off during the week. Or maybe take a shorter lunch break and you get Friday afternoons off in the summer. Some of those different HR policies that they're looking at. And then again, the labor market information, is it a bright outlook for this occupation, for this industry, or is it not? And also you get a sense of what the salary is on some of those websites. This isn't a hobby. We all want to get paid for the work that we do, so make sure that it will be in line with what your needs are. And you can get that information by doing research. It's going to help you build confidence when you know what you're looking at, when you know the company's history and background. Like I say, it will help you write your resume, filling out those applications. It'll just give you a better impression at the interview when you know what they're all about. If you go into an interview and you have no idea what they do, it's just a little bit embarrassing. They want to know that you've done a little bit of work, a little bit of studying about what they do. So research. So where can you do your research? Obviously, most companies, especially the bigger companies, have some sort of presence on the internet. So going to their company website or press releases with what is new with their company. What's their new initiative? I know that during COVID-19, there's a couple of distilleries that have changed from, for this period of time, from making gin to making hand sanitizer. I really appreciate that they do that because it's helping all of us stay better. And so to know about those things and be aware of what's going on in your community, I think is really important so that you can let them know that you appreciate their company's response to things like that. Libraries are probably mostly closed still, but you can go online. Reference USA has lots of great information on companies, and especially smaller companies in the area. So you can get a great listing of employers. And on there, if it's up to date, I don't know how often they do that, but you can find out the company size and maybe even get a name off of there too who you can reach out to. Doing your research on LinkedIn. Now, you will have a topic on LinkedIn coming up, so be sure that if you're not on LinkedIn, you attend that workshop so that you can find out what it's all about and how to use it. I do understand that if you set up an account, you're supposed to use it. I set one up years ago, haven't looked at it since. I don't think it's working for me. So if you're going to set up an account, be sure that you use it. Those career information websites that I showed you earlier will have great information on how to research. What are the job skills, job duties for a particular job that you might be looking at? And informational interviews or conversations, if you will. It's not a job interview. So you go and maybe you want to find out what does this company do. So you call them up and you ask them, you know, maybe a department manager if you have a name. Could I have 15 minutes of your time? I just want to find out what your company is all about. Employers love to talk about their companies, so it's usually pretty easy to get in and do this. Find out what are the skills and what knowledge, what kind of training do you need to get into that field. Who's their best job candidate? Things like that, if it's something you want to get into. So ask for 15 minutes of their time. If it goes on and they ask you if you want a tour, by all means, feel free to let them take the lead if it's something that you like. But again, it's not an interview, it's an informational conversation. Obviously, use your network, talk to them, find out what is it like to work there, what's the culture like there, and then reaching out to Career Force. We talk to employers all the time, and we can help you, even if it's to get a name or to make a soft introduction to the HR person if we know someone there. We're happy to do those things when we can. Quick story on informational interviews and research. I had somebody in Job Club, live Job Club, months ago, and she was new to the area with her getting her civil engineering degree, and I said, oh, I'd love for you to talk for our local architectural firm. I know the HR people over there. I'll give you a soft introduction and see if you can get in the door with them. And the night before her informational interview, she did a bunch of research, and she walked into that time with them and just blew them away with all the information that she knew. She knew that they had just the day before purchased 2 new companies, one in the Twin Cities, one up in Duluth, and had all sorts of information. They impressed her, or she impressed them so much that they hired her on the spot. So I can't say enough about researching. It's critical. And there's lots of great places to get good information. Now, there's one thing. I know you're not going to probably carry your nice printed on linen paper resume to the grocery store when you go. So this networking card is kind of a nice tool to use. It's immediate. You can give somebody your name and contact information in the produce department when you run into them if you know that they'd be a good contact for you. You can get them printed up relatively inexpensively, locally or through Vistaprint online. Earlier today, there were there you go, you're coming up with some other ones on the chat box. Thank you so much. I can't keep track of all the different companies you can work with. Just something that you can hand to someone else. And if they're going to be a good contact, hand them 5 extra cards that they can hand out to other people. So give them permission to hand out your card, okay? Keep it simple, just your good information. Make sure that you proofread it 5 times before you have 500 of them printed up. Because one typo in your phone number is really going to make a big difference. Just apply that key contact information. And then sometimes if they have a card and then they might give you one of theirs, which kind of gives you, it's kind of an open invitation to give them a call. So be sure to do that as well. Get their card. And so it's just one more thing, like I say, if you do carry your beautiful printed resume with you, that's great. But if you don't, here's another idea for you. You can even print on the back, maybe some relevant skills, but without pigeonholing you into one specific thing and no room for change. Just keeping it, those general, great transferable sorts of skills that you have. So thank you for putting in those other companies to design and print your business cards. I appreciate that. There is a session coming up on work portfolios. It might even be next week. But work portfolios are something that you might want to consider if you have a lot of examples you might want to show to someone, maybe if you're a graphic designer or an artist or I don't know what else, web designer, welder, even if you have beautiful welding photos that you want to show an employer. Just something, if you want to pull all that together, reference letters, work samples, things like that, into a paper notebook portfolio, or there are also online portfolios. I believe in Minnesota, it used to be eFolio, now I think it's My eFolio as an online portfolio program. But you'll hear more about that next week, so be sure to sign up for that workshop as well. So finally, you have to think about who are your references going to be, because you kind of know now what kind of positions you're going to be applying for. You want to find people that can speak smart about your skills and abilities in that area, that they can speak professionally and articulate well. Maybe avoid controversial references. Maybe not the National Rifle Association, unless, of course, you're applying for a job at Gander Outdoors in the hunting and rifle and gun department. They might want to know that you're a member of the NRA and that you know good safety, had plenty of safety training and things with guns. So maybe watching out for clergy, maybe watching out for your best friend that works at Planned Parenthood. Because even though those things are important to you, and that's fine, that's very personal, you don't know who's going to be looking at your references on the other side, and it may be viewed as a conflict or as just don't want to go there. So make sure that they're good references that can speak to you, maybe using peers, people you used to work with, supervisors. Maybe if you do take some classes, the instructors could be good references for you, what kind of student you are, those sorts of things. Clients that you used to work with, vendors that used to come into your office and deliver supplies or what have you. Obviously, always ask for permission, find out where they'll be for the next couple of weeks, a good phone number, and to make sure if they're not at their lake home and with no phone service for the rest of the summer, they probably wouldn't be a good reference if they can't get a hold of them. So make sure that you have a good supply of references, if you will. And then always, always, always thank them, because if their reference is what puts you up and over into getting a job offer, you want to be sure to thank them. They're taking time out of their day. Apparently this isn't all they have to do is just to be references for people, but it's really awkward when someone gets a call and says, do you have a minute? I want to talk to you about Rhonda. She's applying for a job with us and she listed you as a reference, and I hadn't told you that I was going to use you as a reference. So be sure and let them know, get their permission, and thank them every time. So it looks like we have just a couple of minutes left, so just to go over what we've learned today, maybe it's just that recovering from a job loss, and how do you get yourself motivated and in the right frame of mind to go and pursue that next opportunity, if you will. Facing the challenges every day, because it is a kind of a challenge. The value of a positive attitude, developing your game plan and getting organized, those great SMART goals that Sheila talked about. Research, 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 people. I can't say it enough. And then just gathering up all those tools and thinking about those things that might help you. With that is the end of the PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if there's questions. Oh, there's Sheila put the myefolio.com on there. I thank you for coming today and listening to us talk about career planning and things. And Sheila, are there any questions?
I do not see any other questions, but feel free to type them in quickly if you want to. We can certainly answer them. Otherwise, we will review the chat and respond to questions if we didn't answer them throughout the presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Have a good day.
Art, do you have anything more?
Just wanted to add, everyone will be receiving a copy of the Career Force Locator document that we send out. So if you're looking to have your resume reviewed, it's really important to have that done locally because people are going to know about jobs in your area. They're going to know about expectations of employers in your area. That's one of the things we can do while we're closed is do resume reviews for you. So please, I'll give you information on how to reach out to your local Career Force location to have that accomplished. Thank you again, everybody. I hope you found this informative and hope to see you all next week. Have a great day.